let's talk about, so like I've always heard, right? Either you could work with your family or you can't work with your family. Me personally, I don't think I could work with any of my family members on a day in, day out process. That even if my father, I mean, how is that kind of working? And I know that I see a lot of family businesses working together, and I see like even on shows that there's like people like, I can't work with him, I can't work with my husband, whatever it is. Like, how is that working with your father?
Yeah, overall, I would say it was a great experience. Obviously, it had its ups and downs, but I'd say I wouldn't necessarily recommend working with your family if you don't have a professional guiding you. This could be like a business coach or even a business broker that's going to help you build the business to sell, right? And they'll create the lanes for each individual, because the problem is that without even trying, you end up mixing family and business. So most people will end up just making mistakes by kind of talking to their spouse, their family member, as if they're at home, right?
Ah,
And so you need a lot of guidance in that area. So I would say if you don't have the professional guidance, don't do it. It requires a lot of discipline to know how to separate things. But if you're able to get that guidance, it could potentially be a great partnership, because family, I mean, that's pretty close, and they'll eventually want the best for you.
so it's pretty much somebody that you can, like, the benefits of it is it's somebody that you can trust, but also there can be a disadvantage because if you like, I know from personal experience that if they're really close to you, you don't want to cross the line and step over on the toes, because it's like, am I going to hurt this person? I really care about this person. So there's that, like, really thin line about crossing over. And I'm typically, in the beginning of my business, my career, I'm typically the nicer person. But later on, I'm just like, I gotta just put my foot forward.
Yeah, and I would say sometimes we have higher expectations of our family members,
Right.
and that we wouldn't have for someone we hired just from Indeed or some, right? And so sometimes we put expectations on our family members that are pretty impossible to achieve. And it's funny because a lot of other couples that I know that work together, we'll joke about it and we'll say like, how many times has your spouse quit on you? Because especially when like you're trying to lead a company, and then you have your spouse, and one moment you're talking about the kids, and then you'll say, hey, did you send that invoice, right? And so that's why it's difficult to separate them. But if you're able to really separate them, you could be incredibly successful through a family business.
Right. And now, so when you were working in the family business, I mean, did you guys have like guidance from like a broker as well, or were you guys kind of just doing that on the fly when you guys were working together?
No, I wish we did. That's actually going to be chapter 1 in the book if I ever write it about family business. Definitely no, that was one of the big learning lessons, right? Just to have the guidance, because as I look back, I'm like, if we would have had the guidance, then it possibly could have been a different outcome. Like, you don't really know how things would have been. But I mean, in there was times where two of my siblings were also working there, right? So aside from my parents, it was my siblings, and so then my spouse, right? So what I would say with family businesses is do it professionally, like literally everything, do it by the book.
Mm-hmm.
Have your set meetings for every single thing,
Mm-hmm.
and do like one of the things I do now is if I remember something, what I'll do is I'll email my wife, but I'll schedule the email during work hours,
Mm-hmm.
because we all check our phone all the time, right? If
Right.
I just shoot her an email, she might see it, and it might be after hours. So that's one of the practical ways that I try to,
It's a good one.
yeah, you separate things, is I'll just schedule an email. Hey, so and so, did we do this? And that's helped a lot, and that's very easy to do.
What was your biggest learning lesson from working in the family business, in that you had learned and brought it into your business that you're currently working at right now? Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think, correct me if I'm wrong. you currently work with your spouse right now in commercial painting. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, no, I mean, I would say the biggest takeaway I had was just understanding the difference in commitment you get from different people, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, the biggest benefit of a family business, you will get more buy-in, right? Like, it's not as easy for someone to just dip uh,
Right.
tomorrow, and so you feel like you can think long term because you're not having to think if the person's gonna leave or like. And so I'd say the commitment level is deeper.
Yeah.
That's a big benefit, right? To not have to worry about that. But I would say that it's also challenging. But I think if you're able to achieve something that's hard, you also get higher benefits, right? And so that was my biggest takeaway. I mean, from my family business, I saw the hard work and great work ethic, and
Uh-huh.
so I took that to the businesses that we've started.